Hello.
Oh, hello. You didn't tell me you were going live. I'm just sitting here reading the comments on Facebook.
I like to keep you on your toes, boo boo. You know that by now.
I do.
As Mr. or Mrs. Facebook user, we are live. I remember that's like a boxing announcer or something, isn't it? Please let us know who you are. I'm only going to say it once today. Pretty please click on the StreamYard link so that we can see your name and your face, whether you're tuning in live on Facebook or YouTube. So representing our YouTube live crew, we have got Slav. Great to have you with us, Slav. And Yanis is here again. Good to have you with us, my friend. So look, we have got loads to talk about. We're going to do the live chart analysis on Bitcoin as we usually do to try and give you an indication of where Bitcoin's likely to go in the next 7 hours to 7 days and everywhere in between. We've got a pretty good track record. I say it on his behalf. He doesn't like to blow his own trumpet, but we're doing pretty well on that regard. And I'd like to get in another cheeky look on another coin as well, if we've got time. But first, the crazy circus world that is cryptos. What would be your quick overview of how the last week has been for you as a professional trader?
Well, I think, I see that there's a lot of great trading opportunities right now. And where there might be some uncertainty in the short term as to where Bitcoin is going to go, I think predicting the small moves at the moment is very easy. And it's quite range bound. And what I love about cryptos in particular, I think you often ask me often students ask, and then you ask me, what would I be doing now? Would I be doing FX? Would I be doing crypto? Well, what I love specifically about cryptocurrencies, it's still quite an infant market. And so that kind of fear and greed is really there. And I can see it through the charts. It's like, I might see, like, for example, we see Bitcoin having a big push up. And I can imagine I can't just imagine, I can see people are jumping in and then the market's correcting. Whereas what I'm thinking is, when it's pushing up, I'm thinking, where's the top for me to sell? Because this is coming back down. And it's kind of a different mindset. I'm not thinking of FOMOing in because I'm going to miss that move where Bitcoin's going to go to 100K. We've got plenty of time to catch that move. I'm thinking, where are the opportunities so I can catch the move now, take my money, and then catch the next move, take my money, and so on. And that's really what I'm doing and what I'm focusing on. I have reduced positions on margin, like long-term margin. In fact, I've got no long-term margin. And I've got a spot position still. And I've got a hedge in Bitcoin that I've been telling people for quite a while. I've been short Bitcoin to hedge against my spot portfolio. And I'm really excited about the prospect of Bitcoin having another push down, which is a great position to be in, because one, I can make money from trading it. And two, it means that I can buy cheap. I can buy more of my altcoins. I can use the profit of my hedge. So if you think of it like this, guys, you've got a portfolio and you've got, I don't know, let's say you've got 5,000 for argument's sake. Let's say that's a decent amount that most people might start with, 5,000 in spot. Well, if Bitcoin drops 30%, your alt positions, your spot positions might drop the same, right? Let's say. So maybe now you're worth $3,000 instead of 5. But if you've made money on Bitcoin going down, you now have you have the difference to go and reinvest in those spot positions at cheaper prices. And so what that means is when the markets go back up to your $5,000, you're actually making more than $5,000 because you're buying cheap. So what I'm saying in a nutshell is, like, it doesn't matter what's going on. All that matters is, what's your plan to make money? We can make money no matter what happens in the market. And that's a really powerful position to be in. So I'm loving it, to be honest. I think I see so many opportunities every day. The only thing that I can't do, Gavin, is I can't sleep enough to focus long enough to make even more money, because these kids just seem to want to wake me up all night long. And that's my only complaint.
If we have a child whisperer, if we have a child whisperer, you'll make a lot of money. Having Andy as a personal client, I'm sure you've got some services that he would happily pay for. That may be taken out of context if they just cut that last little sentence, but you know what I mean. So look, we're going to dive back into Bitcoin on the charts a little bit later on. I just want to talk through some of the stuff that's been going on to kind of just get your opinion on things. And I guess the first one is with China's FUD, and this fits in perfectly with what you're saying, right? Like, how many countries' currency stays so stationary regardless of, look at America, and we know there's a high probability that is kind of being tampered with, but that's the extreme example. All the stuff that's going on there, and the currency, if anything, it increases. Bitcoin, and China say something about Bitcoin again, and then it tanks. Like, it's crazy how there's so much reaction, right? Even with something like that.
Well, let me tell you something that's closer to home that tells you something about people's psychology. In London, people are queuing up for petrol down for hours. And then and there's people interviewing them and say, why are you queuing for petrol? And the response is, well, because everyone else is queuing for it. So I thought I might as well. And this is what people are like. And this is what is created in the markets. You've got to remember, guys, it's people that are trading this. You know, I must be honest, I don't have the time to respond, but I do get a lot of messages sent to me on Messenger of people panicking. How low is it going to go? I don't know what to do. I bought it here and I think, I don't know, I'm stupid. I shouldn't have bought it. And people panic. And I'm like, well, hold on a minute. Long term, you know, just if you're just buying something in spot, long term, just hold it. Relax. You're not going to you're not going to I even admit, short term, none of us can really 100% predict what's going to happen. We just make what we feel is a high probability situation and a possible scenario that could happen, right? But Jesus, if we haven't got a crystal ball, like if we had a crystal ball and I said, okay, well, it's definitely going to 36 and then it's definitely going to 100, well, fantastic. You know, let's put everything on it that we've got. But of course, there's no definites. So for me, like, old news gets reposted and then everyone panics. What is that about? So specifically to do with China, I don't really get it personally. But what happens is it's the most likelihood is it's done, and then we have the people at the top selling, and then everyone else who's on leverage, like getting liquidated, and then everyone else who's bought Bitcoin higher is panicking, and then you get these crazy flash crash moves, and everyone's like, oh my god, crypto's just nuts, highly volatile. I can't deal with it. It's just too risky for me, way too risky. But actually, really, it's not risky. It's not any riskier for me than any other asset class. The only thing that you could say is that the regulation isn't there. But in terms of the movement, markets move that way. You just have to be calm, have a plan, and don't react to what's going on. Like, it doesn't matter what's been said and what happens. The most important thing is like, just stay focused on what you're doing. Like, you know, what we should be doing, guys, is just calmly investing. If it goes lower, have a little bit of money to invest a little bit more, and just let the markets do their thing. You know, Bitcoin was hundreds of dollars, thousands of dollars, and now tens of thousands of dollars. And at one point it will be hundreds of thousands of dollars. And at one point it will be millions of dollars. That's what I believe. So why are we panicking about small moves down in the big picture? It doesn't make any sense. But that's the way it is. People panic, and that's why I say crypto in particular, it's in its infancy, because it does attract a lot of people that don't necessarily have any experience or knowledge. They get scammed. I can't tell you how many messages I get honestly, of people getting scammed, and it's sad. And I tell them it's a scam, don't put any more money in, and they still can't believe that it was a scam. It's what can we say?
Yeah, it is sad, but I mean, look, that's a good breakdown of mentality. And one thing I found interesting, someone, I can't remember who it was that posted in our group, it was a really good post. Apparently China, regardless of what they're saying, they're still like the second largest holder of Bitcoin, which again, it's not what these guys say, it's what they do. And I know a lot of people here are a lot smarter now. It's not about doing what people say. It's just about observing, watching what these people do, and then taking stock, seeing where you fit in with that, what's your personality like, what's your risk appetite like, and then obviously, like you said, having a plan. One thing I found interesting with all the Chinese FUD was there's another derivatives DEX, which is a decentralized exchange. What's really starting to become interesting is that there's more decentralized exchanges, and there's a new one called DYDX. I don't know if anybody's heard about it.
I tried it.
Oh, you do? Cool.
I do, yeah.
Doesn't surprise me. So the volume that they did in the last 24 hours was more than some of the other bigger ones, like Coin,
Uniswap,
and another one.
Sushi.
So they did over $4 billion from China in 24 hours. When that FUD news came out, all these guys and investors, and people say traders, but they're not necessarily traders per se, as in professional. They're just people that are investing in cryptos. Everybody's leverage. Everybody's used into this term trader, right? So yeah, I guess, but they had over $4 billion. And before, people would have been scared back into their holes and back into their little cages. And now they're going, screw you, we're finding a solution. It's created another decentralized exchange, which I can see as only a good thing as long as regulations come in place. But the fact that they've done over 4 billion on a relatively new platform is quite interesting to see. And obviously, like you said, the likes of decentralized exchanges like Uniswap and SushiSwap, they're all going up, whereas the centralized exchanges are going down. The usability is going down. It's just a really interesting stat to see. And as I said on the video promoting this show beforehand, yes, we do have a slight bias to cryptos, but not so much that we're not going to look at the cold hard data. And I'm always going to look at the cold hard data and look at these sorts of things, because this is what we want to see. Another great thing that came out, I don't know if you saw this, based on the FUD news, was that now what they're doing is that they've put a layer wallet in Bitcoin, and Bitcoin has now started taking payments over Twitter, which is the biggest social media platform in the world. So now Bitcoin, you can make payments over Bitcoin like you would have used Western Union. You have to use a third party. It's called a layer wallet, but you can use that, and they've already been testing it now. So someone in Chicago sent a payment to someone in El Salvador, and then they were able to buy like coffees or groceries with their Bitcoin. And the great thing about it is that where Western Union would have charged like 2.1% or 2.3%, that transaction cost like 0.3%, which is amazing.
Yeah, no, that is amazing. I think, I mean, we always kind of knew this was the way things were going to go. I don't know if, the thing with Bitcoin, I think it's because there's so many institutions interested in it, and because of the way it's structured, there's no doubt about its long-term value. Our cat is joining us, by the way, so you might see a tail.
Is that the infamous Rafi?
Absolutely.
Is that the infamous Rafi? Because I know you've got a few cats, haven't you?
No, and but yeah, I don't know. The thing is, all of this is positive for crypto as a whole.
Yeah.
You know, not necessarily just for Bitcoin, because I don't know. Like at the moment, Bitcoin is a highly volatile asset. So one of the things that people used to always say is like, how can we trust it as a currency, right? Because one day it's 50 grand, and the next day it's 100 grand, and the next day it's 20 grand. So your money's going like doubled and then halved overnight. So it's quite tricky, and I still think that is still the case. Countries like El Salvador, I guess, they're kind of looking at things differently. It's a different situation, but then, you know, is that going to happen in the in the Western world. I'm not sure about that, but I think there's other ways, like, and maybe it is going to be something, something like a layer 2 that works with Bitcoin. Maybe similar to what you're saying. I don't know exactly, but that's still tracking Bitcoin, right? So it's still based on Bitcoin's price. But yeah, no, and that's where I think there's so many different combinations of coins that could do so many different things in our new world, that I just see that there's so many opportunities to invest in all sorts of projects. And I've said it many times, but I know there's people always joining, so I always repeat things. Like, you must be diversified. You know, you have to be diversified, because you just don't know when the next Luna is going to come, when the next Solana is going to come. There's a lot of prospects that make a lot of sense, and you read the project and you think, my God, if they can do this, what a difference it would make to the world. And you get it, but then maybe it fails, right? Maybe it doesn't grow as quickly, but maybe it does. And so that's why you're like, okay, if I invest in 10, 15, 20 projects, I've got a good chance that 2 or 3 of these could really explode and become mainstays. You know, there's going to be an Amazon somewhere, there's going to be a Microsoft somewhere, there's going to be a Google somewhere of the crypto world. And your job is to kind of have those in your investment portfolio, I would say.
Wise words. One thing I wanted to speak to you about is, a while ago, you were saying about crypto.com. And there's now rewards cards that are starting to come up, like credit cards, where you can make purchases up to 50 grand, and then they'll pay you like 2% back in Bitcoin or other cryptos. How have you started using that? Because I have to admit, I haven't got around to getting a card yet on that. But have you actually started using it or doing anything? Because again, it's 2% per transaction, but that's going to add up to quite a bit over the year, right? Especially for someone like you, with the amount of coffees that you buy, and if you just like fill up your tank of petrol, 2% of Bitcoin back on that is going to stack up, isn't it, after a while?
Yeah, no, it's true. I haven't, to be honest. I think that the main reason why I haven't is because I'm not really, at the moment, I'm not really thinking about spending crypto. I'm more thinking about buying more of it. So I'm in that phase, but I think possibly, like, once we have, like, let's say the end of the bull market, and, you know, potentially we go back into sort of, I guess, some fiat currency, and like really reduce our position sizes. I think at that point, I think it might be worth having something like that, you know, rather than taking money out, you just use what you've got, rather than sitting through a bear market, use it to buy stuff and then start loading back up when the market's right, or trade.
Well, I think I can see what's going to happen is that someone will, like what used to happen when we had the gold standard, right? Someone will create something where if you've got an asset and it's worth X amount, then you can kind of put it up against on this platform and say, well, we'll lend you this money based on the strength of your asset. But I can see that happening. Well,
it's there already. You can
on a more scalable with more coins, though, right?
Yeah, I mean, compound is one that comes to mind where you can do that. But yes, obviously, with time, like there'll be more and more available, and ideally, you want to have a platform that allows you to put all of your assets there. But I think the platforms really the reason why they go with the more sort of stable coins is because they're safer. Like you might invest in a sort of I don't know, you might think, I don't know, there's a small market cap that's the next best thing, right? And you've put 10 grand in it, but it's highly risky. Whereas if you put 10 grand in Bitcoin, you're like, okay, that we know Bitcoin's going to be around. We can trust Bitcoin. We can lend to you some money. We can give you 50%. I think it's about 50%. So they could lend you, say, 5 grand off your 10 grand investment in Bitcoin. And then you can do what you want with that. You know, you can go and invest in something else or whatever you want to do with it. So I think that's really, really powerful. And it's similar to how the world works now in a way. Like, you know, we buy properties, we've got the asset. They give us money based on the fact that we've got an asset we can't pay.
Well, where does that money come from? It comes from a centralized system.
It comes from people. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, it comes from a centralized system. It comes from a big Ponzi scheme. Let's face it, right? Let's call
Yeah.
a spade a spade. There's a big joke. I'm going to post this. I saw it. It made me laugh about Bernie Madoff, I think his name is, how he got done for doing what he did. And then he's like saying, well, this is the biggest Ponzi scheme ever. And then he's been the one that's kind of carried the can. Interesting times. Let's check in with some of the comments. So we got Nick in the house. Good to have you with us, mate. So he's saying, RIP Western Union. I have paid like $5,000 plus in Western Union fees in the last couple of years. We're not going to know just how good that service is until it becomes into the mainstream. But reading that report that I read, that's fantastic to see. It's really kind of good news. Just scrolling through some of these. Zach, good to have you with us, mate. He's saying, like I learned in the army, people just go with the flow and never question what is going on. That's kind of scary as much as it is enlightening, depending upon which side of the fence and what your intentions are with that, as we're finding out in the world right now. He's saying, as my unit did, put circles and squares, and what the wait for the reaction of the people around you. Yeah, very, very interesting. And then Con's got a question for me. He's saying, question for me, how are you trading futures trading as Binance is out and FXT is not offering it unless you have 1.2 million in your account? I don't have 1.2 million in my account. I'm looking at decentralized exchanges. So I've been telling Andy about one recently that I'm involved with, which is Coin Metro. So I'm looking for decentralized accounts that have already got all of the paperwork ahead of time because they're experienced. My opinion is that I think the more you're involved with a decentralized exchange that has all the paperwork, when all the regulations come in, their value is going to go up and you can use them for a number of coins already. So that would be my advice. Because
just to say to Con, that isn't the case, mate, at all. I haven't put 1.2 million in my account. So, and I'm trading FTX.
I think he means for guys in Oz.
Are you sure?
Clarify that, Con.
I've not heard that.
It would be good to know.
Even Binance, there's no issue at all. I don't know what the like the only issue that Binance had was just with regards to GBP deposits, which, as long as you just had to complete this thing that basically showed them that where your money's come from. So like a wealth declaration, and then send it. I'll be honest, I haven't even done it. Like,
might not want to say that.
I don't need to deposit anymore. And what's that?
You might not want to say that on a live stream, mate.
Oh, I have done it. No. Like to be honest, I don't need to deposit anymore. And if I really needed to, I can just I get free withdrawals from FTX anyway. So
cool.
It's not an issue. I don't know why unless it's different for people in Australia. Strange. Yeah.
So and again, because I'm using a company called Coin Metro, so I have no issues with that, and because I've got a UK account and a Aussie account, so I don't know what it is. But yeah, my missus has been able to use it as well, and she's Aussie, so that's fine. Kevin, been DCAing on some coins, so that's the other part of my answer to Con is I've been doing more longer term strategies for investments that I believe in, and it's good to see that Kevin's jumping on that side of things as well. And we've got Julie as well. Good to have you with us, Julie. She's saying, true, Andy Demi, most have also run out of money to buy on the dip. Can we have some of yours, please? If you didn't see his post yesterday, he made just short of 5 Gs while stroking his cat and using his other hand to click buy and sell on his trades.
She kept knocking my mouse. She does do it. I feel bad though, so I just kind of let her sit there with me. Everyone's asleep at that time.
And so we got from Susan. Good to have you with us, Susan. She's saying Binance doesn't provide futures or margin in Australia. So that clarifies that one.
Okay.
And it's really interesting, like you said, that they've cut down on the margin anyway with Binance, right?
Yeah, but I've never used 100. I mean, you don't need 100x. Jesus, like you really don't need that.
So the whole point is like humanity's been conditioned to borrow from their future with margin. We borrow from future for so many things. It's great from an energy perspective that's been reduced down drastically. And if you know about that sort of stuff, then you'll get what I mean on that. So look, one thing that I wanted to speak to you about before we jump into Bitcoin, if we've got time, I just want to hear what you're saying, because Cardano have released so much news. They're putting like 20-30 million into the Carnegie University. They're spending a lot of money, and I'm just like, oh, what is going on here? And then they've got Coty are teaming up to build out on the Cardano ecosystem. I feel like a lot of people are sleeping on Ethereum at the moment. Obviously, you've got the switch over of the proof of works to the proof of staking, right, in 2022. And obviously the gas fees have been reduced. Now they're reducing the amount of mining that can be done. So no one's really sure what's going to happen till 2022. But I'd love to get your opinion on Ethereum right now, because it seems to be the one that's not getting much shine. And I'd just like to see, maybe we can just get up a quick screen before we jump into Bitcoin. I'd love to see what your feeling is on Ethereum, because things are going pretty quiet on that, or especially compared to Cardano, which is taking it's like the pretty younger sister, right?
Yeah, I mean, quiet is good sometimes. Like you often see coins like just take a breather, and it also gives you the opportunity to, if you really understand its fundamental value, and because it's there's a couple of things. There is first to market is important, and Ethereum was an innovator, and others have followed, and I think that does make a difference. It doesn't mean you're going to be the leader always, but the reality is that despite its sort of limitations, its high gas fees, and all the things that people have, I guess what we say about Ethereum, so many projects are built on that Ethereum network, and it's unlikely that they're going to convert to another network. It's stable, it's been tested, and it's improving. For me, it's the safest investment in cryptos, in my opinion. Like that with Bitcoin, but for me, like Ethereum provides better value than Bitcoin. I think the growth potential is much, much bigger. So, I whether you're fully invested in it now or looking a little bit lower, I think you should be looking at it as, as something that is a, let's say in the crypto space, as safe as you're going to get, like that it's going to grow from where we are. Because, Cardano, there's a lot. The reason why maybe there's a lot more hype around it, and a lot more hype around Solana, is because they're still building, they're still developing, they're still trying to get where Ethereum is. We saw, look, Solana, for example, offers a lot of benefits. Speed, for example, being one of them from what I read, compared to Ethereum. But last week we had Solana shut down, and like they couldn't take the volume that went through. Now,
really?
That's something that Ethereum experienced years ago, I think 2017. And so that just shows you how far Ethereum have gone through those processes. They fixed them. They're a much more stable coin, and most importantly, it's available for institutions to trade and invest in. So yeah, for me, it's a no-brainer. It's a question of like, do I buy now? Do I try and get a better price? That's the only question. And how much of it am I buying? It's not going to be one that's going to make you rich unless you're putting a lot of money into it. So that's why I think, having Ethereum as part of your portfolio is great, but you do need to have smaller coins, less developed coins, if you really want to make a significant amount of money over the next few years. Like if you've got 10, 20 grand, for example, and you want to make 50 to 100 grand, yeah, put it into Bitcoin, Ethereum. That will happen easily. Even more, maybe your 10, 20 grand will be like 200 grand. But if you want to make that 10, 20 grand into over $1 million, it's not going to happen with Bitcoin and Ethereum. Not in the next decade. So that's why, like, it depends what you want from this. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity. That's what you've got to think about. So, but yeah, let me. Shall I bring up the charts?
Yeah, let's bring up the charts. Just on that note, though, it's really interesting. Everything agree with what you say, but it goes back to one of the first points that you ever said about cryptos, especially in the public space. Do your research on coins and projects that you believe in. And if you're prepared to sit with it for 10 years, then great. If you're prepared to spend money into something that's a little bit more risky, but you believe in the project, then again, that's you're sourcing your own intuition there, and do obviously your own research, stack everything up, make sure the data stacks up, listen to smart people like Andy and what they're saying and stuff. But it's yeah, I agree with everything that you're saying. So look, let's jump into this. As usual, we're going to do our pro trader setup of the week. We're going to aim to give you, from the next 7 hours to the next 7 days, the lowdown on what we think is going to happen with Bitcoin. Most of the time, Andy, I say we, but it's really Andy. Our show is pretty on point with this, and we love to give you this value. So we're going to jump in again over the next 15 minutes and see what we can pull out for Bitcoin for you.
Do you want me to start with Ethereum or Bitcoin?
It would be great if you, we've got a little bit of time. Let's just
we can do Ethereum.
Ethereum as well. Thank you.
Yeah, and I'll kind of give you.
Let's give Ethereum a little bit of love.
Absolutely.
I feel like she's been left in the kitchen to clean up while everybody's gone out to the ball.
Yeah. So look, what I was saying before. At the moment, it's a great opportunity to trade ranges. It's because that's what we're doing right now. We're ranging. Now, there's different ways to look at this. My view right now is that although I think we're going to go much higher, and I think my prediction is that I saw somebody, I think it was Nick, posted in there, Andy Demi 1 million Bitcoin on 20th of September. Look, I'll make a prediction. I think Ethereum will hit 5,000 before the turn of the year. So that's my prediction on show. I think Ethereum will hit 5,000 before the turn of the year. So right now we are coming up towards October. So in the next 3 months, I think we will get to here. So the question now then becomes how might that happen? If that is going to happen. And by the way, just because I think something doesn't mean it's a guarantee. Like we can make good predictions. And when I make a prediction, it's not based on nothing. I've done some work in the background. And that's kind of what I see as the potential. I don't think we do more than that this year. I mean, it's possible. It's possible. But if we were going to do more, it would, for me, the trend has to start now. And because I'm not seeing that yet, I'm seeing a move lower first. I'm not sure that's going to happen. So anyway, let's focus on buy zones. I think that's important. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this Fibonacci here, and we're going to draw from A to B right here. And according to the Fibonacci rules, there are two areas that we should target to buy. Okay, one is the actual extension. So right here, we have our A and we have our B, and the market has gone down to its AB, and the market has gone up to its 61.8 projection, retracement, sorry. And now we are predicting that the market will go down to its 1618 as a minimum target, That level, guys, is 2600. Guess where my first order is to buy Ethereum? 2605. Right there. Okay, that's where I am buying long term. Second buy. For those that have been following what we teach, they will understand the overextension and why that might be an overextension. That overextension in Fibs is coming in right here. That is around 2,300. Have a look where 2,300 is, old resistance. Now, guess where my second buy order is? Right there, just above it, 2,305, second buy order. These are long-term positions. Now, where do I think Ethereum is going to go? Well, I think we're going to go, I do believe we will hit 10,000. But for now, I'm focusing on what I feel is the next obvious move, which is up to 5,000. Now, let's do another thing here, guys. I'm going to take a fib from just roughly here, A to B, okay? And I want to show you something really powerful. Now, for those that have been studying markets with me and who understand Fibonacci, you will understand the power of the golden ratio. The golden ratio is the 61.8% Fibonacci. And if we take this as our A and this is our B right here, well, something really interesting is happening because we have what we call our fade. Somebody asked in the group yesterday, what's a fade? This is a fade. The market has not pulled back to its 38%. It went up into our fade zone right there, and the market has come back down. It's hit the minimum 38. So technically speaking, according to the fibs, we are okay to go higher from here. Okay, we've done the minimum expectancy, which is like 90% of the time this will come back here. But there is a but. The most favorable option is to buy at the 61.8, and it's the most popular. And look where the 61.8 comes in, exactly where our second buy is, 2,305. And you can see it's a perfect old resistance that becomes support. It is perfect. So if you want to do this on margin, one, you could just buy this on spot. Okay, for me, buy one, buy two. This is the ideal. If we could pick the price, that's where I'd want us to be buying, all of us. For those that want to do this on margin and maximize their gains, well, where would I put my stop? I'd put it behind these lows down here. And I would be going for a minimum of 5,000. Now, let me show you something. The extension from A to B, there's two targets. Extension number 1, 1618. Extension number 2, the overextension makes sense. We haven't been going up. We are now starting the first swing. The first swing often creates an overextension, and that target, my friends, is 5,000. So I believe that we could be buying here, targeting here, and then correction. Now, from this point on, depending on when this happens, if this happens, I will let you know what I'm doing. But I will definitely be taking some profit at this place and then looking to see if we can then, if there is room and sentiment for this market to go higher, we'll buy again. So that's basically my prediction on Ethereum.
Great breakdown, mate. And the interesting thing is, the key thing, what you said there, you've dropped lots of knowledge bombs, but when will that happen? We've got 3 months. We've got 3 months till the end of the year. That is a bloody long time in the circus world that is crypto, right? So if this can happen within the next 6 to 8 weeks, we could even go higher than $5,000, right? It'll be interesting to see when it happens, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, there could be a stimulus. For example, there's various things that could happen. Like, you know, an unexpected announcement from Amazon that they're adding cryptos to their platform, for example. That kind of thing could happen, and all sorts of other tweets. Elon Musk hasn't tweeted for a little while, but you know, anything like that could happen. But also, I think, you know, the 8th of October with the jobs report could be interesting. You know, if we have bad numbers again coming out from the US, that could imply actually Fed's not going to want to taper, not going to want to, you know, hike interest rates, because the economy's not doing well, and that's going to keep money in risky assets, and that might just give a pump to both the stock market and crypto. So I think that's going to be interesting. I mean, there's a few different things that could make this pop. We don't really care. I think the most important thing is if you can kind of fast forward and you can say, look, if I can buy in one of these two zones, ideally here, I don't really care what happens after that. Like, I've bought at my price. That's my price. I know. And if I hold on spot, there's a very strong chance that I'm going to double and then eventually quadruple and then even more. Because I think long term, there's even more prospects. But I think this is the next obvious move for me. So it's about but like I said, it's done the minimum pullback. This is what we'd expect. This is the 38. If Ethereum wants to go up here, it wouldn't be unusual. I'm just saying these are better prices. So ideally we can get at these prices, then you're doing very, very well.
Beautiful work, my friend. Beautiful work. Right, whilst we've still got some time, let's jump over to Bitcoin.
Okay, so let's look at Bitcoin. So look again.
Let me mate, 1 second. Let me just check it. Oh, wow, we've had a load of comments. I was enthralled in your work, and we've had a load of comments. Just checking if there's anything I need to check on now. That's cool. Carry on, mate. Carry on.
Okay. So Bitcoin. So here we are. So Bitcoin. I mean, we have spoken about this quite a few times, but again, this is we can make cases for both. Whether the market's going to go up here or whether the market's going to go a little bit lower. If we did the same kind of work and we looked at the current fib cycle, I've mentioned this before. It does bring us down to. Firstly, the 1618 comes in here, which is around 37,700. And then the 200 extension brings us down to about 34,400. This is a great buy zone, in my opinion. I think this is a really, really nice buy zone. If we can get down there, it wouldn't surprise me if we did get down there. And it wouldn't even surprise me if we went back and even tested this extreme extension and retesting these lines down here, because this is crypto and it loves to kill people before going to where it needs to go. So I think we are in a stalemate right now, and it almost just needs something to inject some life into it. But for the time being, we can trade this. We're stuck in the range. You can fade. You can just take short-term trades. If we look at a couple of things here, so I did draw this this channel line and then use it as a projection, and I will just have a look to see what's going on here. So the market actually broke it and acted as resistance on it, as well as the 50 EMA. So that's quite bearish, but then we're above the 200, so we're just getting squeezed. And you often see that, by the way, sometimes like when you're in between the 50 and the 200 EMA, the market's getting squeezed, and it's just like, which way is it going to squeeze? Is it going to squeeze and break up or squeeze and break down? If you just kind of look at this picture, it's 50-50 right now. Am I looking to buy it lower? Yes, definitely. But I'm also open to the idea that this market could go up from here. So how do you deal with that? Well, you dollar cost average, you dollar cost average, as people have been saying in this group. The other thing is you trade. So you build up your trading account, and then you can use that to buy more if it does dip. And yeah, that's kind of it. I mean, let me see if there's anything else I can share here. The volume, I did mention the volume last time, but I'm going to just again bring it back up. At the moment, the volume is indicating bearish. Like, if you just kind of focus your attention on selling bars, increase in volume, buying bars, decrease in volume, selling bar, increase in volume. And now the volume has dropped in general because it's just consolidating. There's no real volume. But right at this stage, the bias was to the downside, but we have got a lot to kind of fight and break through. The other thing you can do is we can use these nice angle lines that you can see here, and we can just place them here as potential supports. So you can see how nice and reactive it is there. And then we can also use this as a point of resistance. Again, you could trade these levels, but you can also use them to predict when actually we're out of all of this, and I'll show you exactly where. So let me get my pen out. So right now we have a channel break bearish. Well, if this market was to do that and we find ourselves up here, doesn't that look clear now? For me, it just looks super clear. Like we just suddenly, like we've cleared this green old support, these levels. So that's just a close above 50K, if you want to be specific. So somewhere like a 52.5K daily close for me would give us the indicator that we are ready to pump higher. And then look for volume to increase during that move. If you got something like that, I would be comfortable to say, yeah, we're good to go now, and we can start to trade this and buy this long. And this is a possible scenario, by the way. I mean, I've just drawn this in, but you could definitely get this kind of push down to that 40K mark, and then the market goes up. But have a look, right? We could just sit and wait, put some orders in lower down. But if it got to 40K and we were hitting these lines here, guess what I'm going to be doing? I'm going to be buying that, but I'm going to be trading it. I'm going to buy it, make money, and then exit, and then bank that in my futures account until I know what the hell is going on with Bitcoin, until I know that it's either in my ideal buy zone. And so here and here would be great. If we can buy Bitcoin in these zones, like I'm not going to be panicking if I see Bitcoin down here. I'm going to be getting excited because I'm going to be loading up. And I think that's it. Garrett, I don't know if there's anyone that's got any questions about what we've covered, if that makes sense to people.
Yeah, no, it's good.
What are you like?
So, okay, so Con's saying on your Ethereum, you've just verified his analysis. He got 23.46 in his analysis yesterday. So great job on that one, right. Con. Nick saying, Andy, do you ever trade Doge, or is it too volatile?
It's not one that I trade, actually. Not because it's too volatile. It's just never come on my radar. But I would trade it, absolutely. I've just happened to have a few on my watch list that I trade, and if they're not doing anything, then I just have a little look to see what else is happening. So I would trade it, but I haven't traded it, if I'm being honest.
And then this is the beautiful thing about cryptos. We've got Zach who's saying, I'm a bit confused. We've got another Facebook user saying, that's great, Tar. And then Julie saying, yes, it does make sense. Thanks, Andy. that just sums up crypto in a nutshell, right? Because Zach tunes in quite regularly. So it's not like he's a rookie and he doesn't know anything. So it'd be interesting to see. Obviously, we don't have the time to jump into any great detail now, but it'd be interesting to know which bit you're confused about on that, Zach. So yeah, maybe it's a post for another time. But overall, we're glad that this makes sense. Maybe go back and watch it through. For everybody that it doesn't make sense on, go back through and watch it, rewatch these sections and see what you can pull out of it and see how you can play around with your own chart and with your own analysis. Is there anything else that you want to say before we bounce?
No, for Zach, if you post your question in the Elite Crypto Traders Club, we can help you. So if you go back and rewatch it, anything that you didn't understand, or particular parts that you didn't understand, post them in there.
Yeah, that's a good chat.
And we'll myself or one of the team will explain it to you again. And I might just do another video. It's important that you understand it. You don't necessarily have to trade it, but like, just go back and rewatch that part of this show. Yeah, no, I mean, other than that, like, I think that sometimes we complicate things, and you know, and sometimes you FOMO in, and sometimes you don't do good risk management. You're here to make money. You've got to be professionals, and you know, and I don't very much post my wins, like, but the honest truth is I'm winning about 95% of my trades at the moment in crypto. And I know Gaven always encourages me to post them, but I don't like to show off. But I post them sometimes just to kind of inspire people, because it's available to you. You have the skills. Like, if you've done a course, you've got the knowledge. So there's no reason why you shouldn't be doing it. Like, the thing that you might be doing is not waiting patiently enough, not doing good risk management, not, you know, waiting for your price is very important. Like, having a set plan is very important, so that you're like, well, that's my price. I'm not buying before that. I'm not selling before that. And because you're waiting for your price, you're getting in at a good price. It gives you every chance of being profitable. Like, it's very much available to everybody. You just need to be a little bit better than the rest. That's all. You don't even need to be anything brilliant to make.
And it does take time. And I agree with what you're saying. But thanks, Jeanette, for saying what I believe, which is, we love that you post your trades and your wins, because it's encouraging. And you've earned the right to say what you want, because you're giving your time away and you're showing just a glimpse. And truth be known, I really want to create a product. I've been saying this to Andy now for a couple of weeks. We've got to try and find the time where, even for the newbies that don't have the inclination or the time to trade, but that you can invest. Imagine getting some picks where Andy's saying, look, this is Ethereum. This is a high risk coin. This is a medium risk coin. And then this is a safe coin with Ethereum. Imagine he's posting some stuff in saying, these are the buy zones. Imagine that, where you don't even have to get involved. I think there'll be a lot of uptake, and that would help a lot of people. But I know you're a super busy guy trying to pin you down.
Speak to my wife, mate. Like, she's the boss. I don't think she'll be in agreement with you.
So
she really says I work too hard.
Watch this space. So, but yeah, obviously now you've got a third child, and yeah, it's going to be interesting to see where everything goes from here. So look, we're going to bounce, guys. Thank you very much for your time. We've loved sharing this moment with you. And as Nick said, time goes so quick. So we're doing something right, which is great. So even the guys that are watching this on the replay, we know it's not a convenient time for everybody. Thank you very much for watching. And we are going to bounce. So goodbye. See you soon.
Take care, guys. Sort your music out, Gavin. We can barely hear it.
Oh, really? Oh, it's my AirPods.
Now we can't hear it at all. You're going to have to sing it. There you go. It's a robot version. Sounds perfect. Mate, it sounds like you've been taken over by aliens.
Play, you still talking?
We can't hear you, Gavin. Let's mute you. There you go.
Let's read you.
Nick, you can volunteer for a DJ, mate.
Hey guys, Nicholas just came.
Gavi, can I just encourage you to switch this off immediately? Because we cannot